Hello once again, and it is Alex here, and this time I'm working remotely here on our COVID-19 client app. Um, I'm going to go ahead first and pull in any changes that I've made to the iteration of the branch that I'm on. And you see that it's been updated. If I click on the commit, I can see exactly what I updated. I established the connection with the API in the last video. So I'm going to go ahead and hit home, and we're going to open up our solution now. And as our solution opens, we're going to go back and we're going to look a little bit more at the serializing a JSON collection or an array with Newtonsoft. And so we already determined that we were able to successfully make a connection to our API. And so if you have any questions on that, just go to the main program here. And here's the API website. And we'll go back to it because we want to keep that up and available to ourselves. Let me scoot my, screen over to the left there. And I'll go down to the documentation to view. We're going to go to the countries because this is the operation that we're using right here. And so what we've done is if we go back and we recompile our code and we put a breakpoint here, we can see once this gets to run in here like it should be. That we are able to minimize that a little bit there. And breakpoint here now. There we go. And if we hit F10 a couple of times, we're able to actually see that we got a response back. If we click on this and we see our content, we can view, we got all our content back right here. I'm not sure what this ISO2 is. I don't know what that is right there. I'm seeing a bunch of them in there. Huh. That's kind of weird. We might have to look for that. So we've got all our country data back here. And so this kind of brings up an interesting scenario for us here, is that our country data, if we go back to the operation and we go to countries and we look at this, that's all it's bringing back is country data. That's all it's bringing back right there, which is different from the summary that we were grabbing before. So these are our summaries, and that's what we want to use. So we actually are calling the wrong function. We need to call the summary function here. So let's copy that real quick and change our code. So we'll hit stop here. I'm going to turn that from countries into summary. I'm going to save that, redebug it, and F10 to where we were getting our response, and we're still getting a response. We have reached maximum request limit. Okay, so what that means is that we have run into a brick wall here on the amount of requests that we can do in a day on this API. And I believe there is a limit in here somewhere. Let's see here. If we go back to the documentation, go to the intro. Well, let's go back to the country data and let's see if it gives us the same thing. My guess is it's going to give us the same thing. Nope. So we can get all our country data here. And so if we look at this, we can actually fill out most of our country data with this, but I'm not sure what this is here. So let's do a real quick look here. And so we see our slug. I'm not sure what this ISO2 data is. Not sure what that is. Maybe that is well, let's do a look for United States of America. Yeah, that's just the country code there. Let's do another. Let's do another countries in here. Copy that. And let's see. I think I did see. I'm not sure if there was a limit. Let's look in the Slack community here. I don't want to do that right now. Use the API for free. Use it for whatever you want. Well, let's try it again. Maybe it was just a summary. Countries. No, it's countries. Let's debug that again. No. Countries is fine. Let's do summary. And it says, oh, there we go. Maybe it was just a, that's kind of weird. So when we go back, there's all our summary data right there. So now what we want to do is parse this out. We have to find a way to parse this out. Because if we parse that out the way it is now, it's not going to make much sense to us. So let's copy this and paste this in here and see how this is laid out. So we know that countries is an array of countries. So we have global, countries, and date. So let's see here. We might need to do another model, a couple of models here. Okay, so here's our global data, and our global data is going to have this information in here that we have here. We're going to have our country data, which we do. So we need a main. We're going to need a new class here, new item. And we're going to call it main model. And this is going to have a class of country data. And we're going to have to restructure this just a bit. So we're going to have, going back here, we're going to have a global. COVID global. And we're going to give it a get and a set. We're going to have a country data countries get set. And then we're going to have a date. Get set. Okay. And then this will be our list of country data. There we go. There we go. So and then we'll have to go over here to our global data here and get rid of this right here. And the reason why we're doing that is because this main model, I need to make these public here, don't I? So let me do the little mouse. Public. There we go. Save that. So what's going to happen is it's going to come through. It's going to grab a copy of our global. It's going to stuff the information that's in there in there. It's going to do the same thing with our countries because it's an array of countries. And it's going to stuff that information in there, and then it's going to stick our date into our date. So what we should be able to do here is do this and say main model. And let's see if this actually works here. I think this might work. So let's see, F10, F10, and F10. So now, get, and that's an IE numerable. That's our REST response main model. And then in here, for each var response, in COVID response, dot content. Will that work? Yeah, let's see if that works. And let's see, let's put a console right line here. And we'll debug on the console right line right here. And we'll move this down to here. F5 that again. Let's see if this does this like we're hoping it does. I don't think that's going to work though. All right, so res equals, no, that didn't work like I thought it was going to. That's just parsing out the, there. That's just parsing out the, let's try it this way. No, var. And let's see, it doesn't like that. Cannot operate on variables of type main model because it does not have, let's try toList. No. Well, let's see how this is, we're supposed to use this, shall we? Let's go back over here to deserializing a collection, and let's actually go to the REST Sharp documentation here first. And we'll go into good old Stack Overflow. That's what I thought. JSON deserialize. Okay. So let's get rid of this line here. What we're going to do is we're going to deserialize our object out of the content that we get back. So let's get rid of this. And then here, var JSON data equals JSON convert main model. And we'll hover over there and hit control and period again. It doesn't like that. Let's make sure we got the right package in there. We do have Newton Soft. JSON convert dot deserialize control period using Newton Soft JSON. Now deserialize object, and we'll give it a type of main model, and we'll pass in the COVID response dot content. All right. Let's see if this works for us, huh? F10 gets our response, F10, and let's see. There we go. So we've got our countries, all the data. We've got our global, which are our numbers. And of course, we've got our Zulu date, which didn't give us back what we wanted there. So we might have to play around with the date. Excuse me. But we've successfully parsed out all our data as far as putting it into objects. So except for the date. So let's do the main heavy lifting here. So we can take this to do out here, and we'll just make this say parse out response into objects, which is what we're doing here. Get rid of this line here, delete. Now, what we can do is we're ready to actually, well, let's save our work here. We're actually ready to start stuffing our data into a CSV file, I think. So what we can do is now everything kind of going forward that we're going to use is going to be using regular Windows, using regular .NET framework, .NET libraries. REST Sharp and Newton Soft JSON are specialized libraries. And so they're not Microsoft libraries. Now we are going to use another Microsoft library, a couple of them. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to parse out, we've parsed out our response into objects. Now we're going to create a CSV file with all of our object data. Okay. Now, our CSV file, even though we've got our totals, how do we want to do that? So we could do this one of two ways. We could create a fixed file record instead of a CSV file record. That's a little bit more work. We could actually create two different CSV files and do it that way, but that seems like a little bit too much work for 3 lines of stuff, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to get all of our country data and put it into a file first, and then we'll figure out what we want to do with our main level data, like all of our totals and stuff. So let's see what we can do here. The other thing we're going to also do is we're going to clean up our exception handling as well, and do something with that. So let's see here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use a library called system.io. We're going to bring that sucker in here. So we're going to say using system.io. And let's real quick clean up some of this stuff up here. Get rid of anything not used. I got rid of our system.io, but that's going to change here in a minute. So we're going to say using, I'm going to say var stream writer equals new stream writer. And let's go ahead and hover over this. Oh, no, not that. SR. This new stream writer, and we're going to hit control period. And now we're going to bring in system.io. Now, what the using does is it will automatically open up our stream writer class in our file. And then what it'll also do is once it's done executing all of the code in our block, it will close the file for us. It'll dispose of the file for us, not get rid of, but it'll close all the connections and everything else. So that way the file doesn't, blow up or have read-write access issues in the future. So that's why you want to use a using clause there. So let's do this. Let's do this before we do that. We are going to create a couple of different things that we're going to form our stream writer with. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to put this somewhere on our computer, right? So let's create a path, var report path equals path dot create set path dot. I just did this the other day. Set path set working directory in C#. That's what I want to do. Set current directory. There it is. Set current directory. It's going to throw chunks on that. Control period. Oh. So it's in system.io.filesystem.dll. So do we not have that one here? System.io. We may not have that because it is a .NET framework only. Yep. Oh, no, that's core. System.io. It applies to all of the frameworks, so we might have to use the fully qualifying name of the system, IO directory, set working, set current. Oh, it's there. We'll just say set current directory. And we'll hit control period. I have to say directory. Set current directory. All right. It doesn't like that. And so we need to get rid of this void here. It's a function, it's a method. So let's create a file path string. I'll stick with var. Var file name. Var file directory. Okay. So we're going to then combine all of that information into our directory name. And actually, we can just do it this way. String file path. I'll just call it file, path equals string format. And we're going to put this on our C. We're going to put this on C. We'll create a directory for it. It's going to be called C COVID-19 data / and we're going to make this 0. We'll get rid of this directory here. We'll move the file name up there. Make it a string. And then we will call this, we'll string format this one too. Go string format. And what we're doing is we are creating an actual file name. We're going to use the date and we're going to put it in the format we want to. So this is going to be our file name. We're going to call it COVID-19, actually COVID-19 underscore, and we're going to put a 0 there, .csv. And here for the 0, we're going to pass in date, time, .now, .date, .toString, and we're going to pass it a year, month, day. So that is YYYYMM, capital M's, DD, underscore, hours, minutes, seconds. Capital S's. I always forget. Let's double check. Let's see, I can't remember if it's seconds. SS, it's lowercase s's for seconds. So these are SS's here. All right. And then this will be file name. And then this current directory will be file path. We'll call this full file path, and then we'll call this string file path equals just this right here. This is our full file name right there. And then what will happen is we need to do a conditional on our file path. If the file path does not exist, we need to create it. So we can say if file, it's actually path. Path exists. Directory exists, actually. Then we want to set our working directory, our current directory, to that file path. Else, it means it does not exist. We want to directory, create directory, file path. And then we want to set the directory to that current directory. And so let's just kind of explain what this does in our code. If the file path does not exist, then create it. So let's just test this right here real quick. So let's comment out our client requests and responses just to be on the safe side here, because we know that works and we're past that part. So we're now to the file creation aspect of it. Let's hit F5. And we're going to create a string and call it file name. So here's our file name right there. I don't like that. That means I need to get rid of that date there. And let's do it that way, because we want the time and the date. There we go, that's better. So there's my current time here. And then here's a directory path here. And then when you combine the two, you've got your full file name. See, COVID-19 data, and there's the report. So now what it's going to do, it's going to go through, and if that directory exists, which it doesn't on my machine, it's going to create the directory. So let me drag this to the left here. I'll open up File Explorer and go to my C drive real quick. This PC, and go to C. Drag that over to the left, to the right over there, I mean. Not that, this right here. Here we go. And this is going to be in the C's. So as soon as I hit F10 over here on my code, it should create a directory. There it is, called COVID-19 data. And then it sets the current directory of my code to use this directory. So now anything that I do is going to go into this directory here. Okay. Then what I can do, since I'm using this COVID-19 directory, I can just put a period, backslash, and should be able to do this. I'm gonna try it this yet. 0, comma, file name, and what that should do, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's missing a, there it is. I'm missing one of those. What it should do is create a new stream writer, which is going to be our file. And I'll just say sr.write line and say test this out. And let's actually test to see. Now, if we step back through our code again, it will fall into this conditional here because it actually exists. So We have 10, it's in there. And now our stream writer is open. And that's it. And it should be closed. I should have a file in here with one line of text. There's our CSV file. And I should just have a line of text in here that says, test this out. And there it is, says test this out. There we go. We won't save that. We can close that. So now we're actually ready. We've got our stream writer created. We've got our, we know that we can hit our API. Now we're ready to start parsing out the data from the countries. And that's in our model. So we are going to need a header record. So the first line that we need to write is going to match what is in our country data model right here. And we'll just go ahead and bring that sucker over here. Paste it in there like we did before. So it gives us that an idea of the format of our data. Now, a really cool thing that we can do is we can do this one of two ways. We can write a for loop or for each loop and say for each object, let's go ahead and print off a line, which is probably the easiest way to do it. So let's do it that way. For each var C country line in, we'll have to uncomment our data up here. And so what'll happen is in JSON data right there, and so it's saying it doesn't like that. Because what we need to do is make this into a list. So we're going to say dot to list. No, it doesn't like that. Our JSON data. In JSON data dot countries. There we go. Because that's our list of data in our country. So if we start typing the C line, we should be able to see all of the fields that are in our country data here. So we can say C line dot, and look, we've got our country codes, our other stuff, the dates and all that kind of stuff in there, right? But before we do that, let's write our header. So our dot, right, line. And let's create our, let's actually, before we do that, let's create a header. Bar header equals string.format. And all we're going to do is put some empty string data in there, and we're going to parse it out in a comma delimited string. 0, 1, 2. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we need to count up to 9 here. 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually, no, that's not what we want to do. This is just going to be a placeholder for us. 6, 7, 8, 9. And actually, we may as well just grab this and do this down here, because we're going to do the same thing down here. This is actually the line we're going to use down here. We'll get to that in a minute. So this one is going to be our header record, and it's going to say country code, we don't need the string.format on it now because we're not passing anything in there. Country code, work smarter, not harder, Alex. Delete that. Let's do it this way. Let's get rid of this right here. Delete, delete. Get rid of that right there. That there. And we'll just real quick get rid of the gets and set, because there shouldn't be any gets and sets in here. Oop, nope. I'm going to replace. Boom. Comma, delete, comma, delete. Oop. We'll do it this way. Those are all going to be commas. And let's just go ahead and get rid of all that space there. Delete that. So now I'll just come over here and delete in like that. Oop, not that one. I need that one. And one more. Grab that out of there. Paste that in there. Get rid of that there. There. I've got a header. Now I'll say sr, which is a string writer, right line header. Now I've written a line of comma delimited header there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my countries. So the easiest way to do this is to say like this, like we did here. Put that there, because we're going to need that. And we're going to say cline dot country, cline dot country code, cline dot slug, cline dot new confirmed, cline dot total confirmed, cline dot new, cline dot total. Oops. Let's just kind of scoot this over so we're looking at all of what we need to. And we can actually put these on different lines like this to make it neater, or easier to read, I should say. For now. New total confirmed, new best, total deaths. Cline dot new recovered, cline dot total, cline dot date. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There needs to be a comma there. Does need to be a comma there. Get rid of that extra stuff there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. There we go. Bam. We get rid of this. So now we're actually ready to write all of our data to our CSV file. So let's save it. We'll rerun it again. See if we get a response this time back. We did get data back, 247 countries. Still messing around with that date though. And so let's hit F10, F10, F10. Directory exists. We're going to create, we've got our file name here. F10. We create a header. And we're going to parse through all of our country data. And let's go down here and just hit F5. And hit F5 again. And our code is done. And if we go over here, we've got a CSV file that if we open it up, there we go. All of our data is in our file now. And something is off here. So that means that we actually have commas in our data somewhere that are being returned. And so it's like right here, there's probably commas in our returns here. And probably here too. Then we've got some specialized characters in here as well. And here. There's United States right there. Whew, man, I tell you. So even though we've got all our data here, we'd have to clean up our data because this obviously is not going to work. So let's go back over here. And let's say we only want the data for the United States. Then we would have to grab the slug, I believe, for the United States. STU right there. If I'm not mistaken, that's the country code. This is the slug for the United States right there. Let's see. There should be a method for only a specific country. So this says we can do it this way. We can say total by country. And I wonder if we can just grab one, we can just grab one country. And then we'd have to pass in the time parameter if we want to get a specific time and date. And then if we wanted to just get the country only, I don't know which one we would use for that. That one right there. Let's see how this one looks. Copy. Let's paste that in there and see what we get back. Yep. This is all days for this country. So eventually we'll start seeing cases in there. Yep, right there. There were 0 cases on the 22nd of 2020. They didn't start seeing cases in South Africa until, oh, there's their first case right there. Their first confirmed case was March 5th of 2020. And they've had 86 deaths. So maybe we should use this one here. So anyway, that's what we can do is we can look at this and we can parse out the data. And let's actually go back through. Don't save that. And let's reparse out the data. And what we can do is once we get, let's reopen this real quick. Let's go back to where it was off here. It didn't get off until we got to SAR China. Hong Kong, SAR China right there. And that is the slug, if I'm not mistaken. So let's copy that. I'm gonna show you a real quick, really cool breakpointing tool here. What you can do in your debugger is you can say, if you debug up here, let me take this one off here. I can put a condition on here, right click on here, say conditions, and I can say, actually not there, I'll do it down here. And we could say cline dot slug equals Hong Kong SAR China. There. And then what will happen is it will stop, it will breakpoint only on that condition. So if I click this again, boom, now it's on our breakpoint right there. So I can see the slug is not that. That's not right. Slug Hong Kong SAR China is true. Slug should be a string of data, right? Slug is a string. Let's make sure it was the slug. Yep, it is the slug. Slug. Let's try that again. That's not right. Let's actually put something here. Let's put the condition here instead here. Let's see. Conditions cline slug equals that. Let's try that. F5 that. I think that'll work. All right, so let's see our cline, no, what the heck? Why is it stopping there? That's not right. What am I doing wrong here? Let's F5 that again. Let's see. So what's our cline now? Oh, there we go. That was kind of odd. It was stopping earlier. Okay, so if we look at our, yep, right there, our country has the commas in there, which is not what we want. And we can always just remove the commas out of there, out of the slug. Let's make sure it's just in the slug. Is it just in? No, it's here actually. There and there. So it's actually on the country. So what I can do is I can say country dot replace my comma with a space like that. That'll get rid of the killing those commas there. You'll notice I'm running one of these new every time here. Oh, cancel. I've got one open here. There's that one. Don't save that. Delete that. Yep. Okay. Now let me get rid of this and let me rerun this. And it is done. Come back over here. We'll reopen it. And now everything should line up now. Yep, it does. Now we've got these really funky characters in there. So let's find out what that is, shall we? Let's go to the first instance of that happening, which seems to be right there. So when the country code equals RE, let's go back to our code here. Conditions, and we're going to say cline country code equals RE. We want to stop on there. Let's hit F5 again. And our country code is RU. Ah, it's the special little French character there. So let's see what we can do about that. I think that's an encoding situation there. So let's just Google that again. French, C#, French, punctuation. I think it's French punctuation. Let's see. Not French. No, not there. C#. Is it this right here? I think we can get rid of that. Yeah, let's get rid of that one too. How do we want to do that? We're already doing a remove on that one. So I think we can use a no. Go back to what I had working there. There we go. Okay. Let's see here. We can always get rid of it. Can do that. I've already done the string replaced. Split, I'm not going to do it. I can remove it using a regex too. I don't like using regexes if I don't have to. So anyway, what we can do is we can parse out the string, and I can actually make let's make a really quick and dirty method to do it. Let's just do this. I'm going to call this static string remove specials. String so data, something like that, right? And then what I can do is I can come down here and say return data, and I can say for each var c in char var c in data. That's going to look at every specific character in the data as a char. And then I can say if c dot is c equals this or c dot equals comma, then let me say if it's not equal, and not equal to that, let me do this, string return string equals string dot empty. And on this line here, I can say ret string plus equals c. And I can down here, I can say ret string. And then I can say up here, instead of us doing this country, I can say remove specials dot and get rid of the C line country there. And what that's going to do, it's going to read every single line, every single character in that string, and it will get rid of, it'll take a little longer. It will get rid of all of the special characters that I say this is in here. So let's run this through and see what happens here. So it's going to come through. Our first one is ALA Ellen Islands. And actually, let's speed this up here. I can say if data contains either one of those characters, that to do and to do, or let's see, and it does not contain that character, and it does not contain a comma, then return data. I'm going to say data contains. So that way, if it doesn't have one of those special characters in there, then it'll automatically just return the data. Otherwise, it'll loop through here. So that'll speed it up some. So let's F5 that and see what we get back here this time. Boom. Okay, so we should come up to, okay, so here's our first one. It should go through all of those characters. And let's just look at ret string down here real quick. We'll watch what happens here. I'm going to have 10. Watch how it builds the string. HONG. Let me remove this from the watch. Kong space SAR space China or China. And that's it. It returns that as my string. Let's hit F5 again. Oh, we're doing Iran this time. And by the time we get done with all of our stuff here, we should return Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran. F5 this again. We're back in China again. Notice we're getting rid of the comma. At F5 again, Macedonia, Micronesia. And now we're to our special character one, I believe. Yep. Let's get rid of that and hit F5. And it actually did Taiwan. Tanzania, Virgin Islands. Let's see what it did there. I hope it got rid of it there. All right, let's show what we got here. Nope, still is in there. Okay. Well then, let's close that. Don't save that and get rid of that. And actually, let's look at the byte. That one right there. So this is an ASCII table, and you'll want to refer to this whenever you see data like that come back to you. So let's see if we can look for that reverse E or reverse A. Am I not seeing it here? Right there. So if the ASCII character is character 138. So if we go here and we say C#, how to look for specific ASCII character. Oop. So we know this is an extended ASCII character. And let's see if we can find 138, because I think it's 138. Let's go back up here. And go to conditions and go to conditions. Say C line dot country contains a boom. And F5 again. Let's see if it errors out or if it doesn't error out. We know that's happening there. F5, let's go all the way to when we get to the, well, it didn't do it again. I believe I can just look at the numeric value for the ASCII character. I think I can do that. I can just say, give me the ASCII character of this 138. Let's see if it does that. If int, let's try it this way, int SCII char equals C line country no, let's not do it in there. Let's do it down here. There's two of them in there, I think. There's two of them that's it's doing that too. It does it to the R's first. Right there. I think they're the same. Country code RE. Let's do it that way. Let's go to our conditions and say if, what was that? Aria. There we go. 5. And that's the one we need. Reunion. It's the other way. It's the other way. Okay. So we need to look at the ASCII character going the other way. Going the other way. Got one right there, 130. Okay. I don't know. I've never had to do that one before. So if cline dot country contains convert char, convert to char. Which one is it? 130. Let's see if it does that. That might blow up on me there. So chars are numeric values too. So let's see if this happens. 10. No, I don't think that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Nope. So let's see here. I might have to look into this one. So I'm sure there's a solution for this one. So what we need to do now is we actually have our code working. We know it's working. We just have some cleanup to do on our data. So we're going to go ahead and finish this up for the day because I've been on way too long. So we'll go into our changes and we will say we created a CSV report out of parse. Let's see, create CSV report, parse out JSON response to CSV file, created new main model as well. And then all those changes, sync that up and push it. And there we go. All of our changes are now in our repository. So in the next video, we'll see if we can't solve for this funky country code thing going on there. And once we get that solved, we'll be in a really good spot. Until then, hope this all helps you. Keep learning.